Welcome to What's the Deal with Sam? Starring Sam Lilly. Join Sam as he discusses a wide variety of topics.
Batman.
Now let's start the show.
Thank you. What's the deal with the SNES Classic Edition? It's like the NES Classic Edition with the ground. I mean, it's a thing, I guess, that I'm a little late to the party on this one, I think, but talking about it. But there's rumors about an SNES Classic Edition because there was an NES Classic Edition. And my 2 cents on this idea is that it's probably not going to happen. I just don't see it being really all that viable for Nintendo to bother with that shit. Just because, like, you know, the NES Classic Edition was sort of a... Well, I guess you've already been through all that. You know about that shit by now. But essentially, because of how that was done, how it was handled, and the way things played out, I can't imagine that an SNES Classic Edition seems like a good idea because, you know, that's basically it's the same thing but less appealing. I mean, the thing that they're kind of clinging to is that, well, the NES Classic Edition was is meant to be a limited item. I don't know if it was actually supposed to be that limited when they started it out, and they just decided we'll do it that way, or if it was like, you know, if that was genuine, or if, like, they just said that was the bullshit excuse later, and it was like, we'll just say it was limited so we don't have to make any more, and we'll be justified in that. I don't really know. I guess it's not really here nor there at this point. They clearly just don't have any intentions of making more, and I feel like, you know, the SNES Classic, that'd be the same shit, you know, if it was a Super Nintendo one, it's like, well, fuck, well, they could make some, but it'll be limited, and I think best case scenario for it, if they did it, would be like they make more so they can probably try to meet the demand better than they did with the other one. It'll still be limited because they want it to be a limited thing like the other one was, and there's less interest in the Super Nintendo in general. It's not as big of a draw as the NES, so it's going to be a lot less people getting it, so I think more people that want it will end up with it. But it's probably going to be the same case of, like, within, like, you know, if you didn't get it within the first month or so, you'll be fucked. You have to deal with paying, you know, however much, you know, online that people are reselling it for. And it's going to be shit like, I don't know, I don't know if it would be the same price or not. And then maybe there would be less games because they're considering there's, like, the value. Well, like, Super Nintendo games, according to, like, the eShop thing, if you're considering the eShop for stuff like the Wii U, the 3DS, and the Switch, as part of a competition, which is, you probably shouldn't, and they probably don't, but in case that is a reasoning, you know, like, maybe they'll put less games on there than the 30, and make the price of this, to make the price of this the same, or maybe just up the price of this and still have 30 games, I don't know. What games would they have on there? There's some good Nintendo ones there, but not as many, and not like the other one didn't have stuff that wasn't Nintendo on there, but with the way the sales would go, probably, would it be worth the money and the effort to try and get rights for things like the Super Nintendo Final Fantasies and Castlevania, Contra, you know, all that shit, like the Mega Mans? Like, would it be worth getting that stuff for that system if it wasn't going to sell that well? I don't know. I don't know. And I guess it just seems like it would end up being, like, disappointing for everyone, I think, where it's like there still wouldn't be enough to go around. Scalpers wouldn't be happy because there's too many. You know, people wanting to actually get it would be upset because, again, there's not enough. Nintendo probably wouldn't make enough money on it. Bad publicity is going to hurt it as well anyways from this previous one. So, again, like, even if it does happen, which I don't think it will, especially considering, you know, the whole Switch thing is coming out with that virtual console. Even though, you know, it's not really the same market, I don't think Nintendo knows that, and they don't want to make extra competition there necessarily. So, like, if it comes out, it'll probably just be kind of a letdown anyway. Not to shed anybody's hopes and dreams or anything. And as far as I know, it's still just rumors about this even existing. But I personally, I don't see it happening. And if it does happen, it's not like I don't think it won't necessarily, like it can't. I just don't think it will. I won't be super surprised if it does, but also it'll probably be a letdown. So I'll be surprised if it happens and it's done well. And if they made that a continuing product rather than a limited one, I would hope they bring the NES one back. There's also been some ideas of people saying an NES Classic 2 with different games on it. I don't think that's going to happen either. But that's really neither here nor there. And, as for, again, like the idea of competition, like, the Switch is going to have Virtual Console stuff soon. 3DS still has it, especially with the new 3DS and that stuff. It can run the Super Nintendo games, so would you be competing for those purchases? That's an interesting idea. And there's actually, as far as that is, competing for, competing with the Switch, Nintendo competing with itself. I guess I've got a little bit more to say on that, but you'll have to wait until the next episode. How's a cliffhanger for you? It's like a good ending with the ground.
What's the deal with Sam? What's the deal with Sam? What's the deal with Sam? What's the deal